Hey guys, welcome back to the Faithful Farmer Mama. So as you know, over the last couple of months, we have been working hard on trying to renovate our kitchen and help make it look like a vintage farmhouse kitchen, even though we live in a very modern home built in 2015. Join me today as we work on a few things here in the kitchen to make it more vintage farmhouse. So before we get started, if you're new to my channel, please go down below, find the subscribe button, click that along with the little bell. Make sure you click both of those so that you will get all of the notifications to let you know when I post new videos. I try to post a video once a week. It doesn't always happen, but most times, once a week, you can come back here and always find a new video to watch. You may remember a while back, we started changing a few things here and there in our modern farmhouse kitchen. One of the things that we worked on was the cabinet underneath of our stove. It actually used to be this color here, and we've stripped it and finished it and made it a natural wood color, along with the cabinet underneath the sink as well. We plan on also doing the vent hood above the kitchen stove. This will be a natural wood color, and still possibly our kitchen island. Guys, I cannot tell you again, I still am not sure what to do with my island. I've had so many comments and so many people mention that I need to strip it and make it a natural wood color. It's just a lot of work, and I'm really concerned about bees. I think this will take me a lot of work, and I'm not sure how to handle that. However, today, this is our goal. I love the color teal. Guys, teal is like my favorite color. Although it's kind of gotten old for me, not the color teal, but just this print. So I think what the owners tried to do was make it look very rustic and very rustic is the word that I want to look through. But instead of sanding down the wood to give that vintage and rustic look, they took paint and actually just put blobs of brown paint. The weird thing is that they didn't cover over this with any kind of clear urethane, so every time I wipe this, some of the brown comes off of it. So if you've never taken a door off of its hinges so that you can actually do something to it, I'm going to show you how to do that now. Here's just a little peek of what the door is going to look like once it's finished. As you know, doors have hinges that help hold them on and let them swing back and forth. This is a typical hinge. Our door opens out of the closet. So instead of just taking these off, we will actually push the pin that's in the middle of this. If you notice right here, there is a pin that you can actually push from the bottom. There's a hole here. You can stick a screwdriver up there and use a hammer and knock it out. That will take these two things apart. I will then take this off. I'm going to leave this on here because we are going to put the door right back where it is. So my goal today is to strip this door of this teal color and make it a natural color. Y'all also know that we have this beautiful hutch that is also this teal color. This is probably going to be changed this weekend. Be sure to come back and check for details on that soon. So I employed my husband to help me with the hinges and the doorknob. This is the doorknob out of the actual door so that I could strip the door. We left the hinges on so that we wouldn't lose all the pieces, but I did take them off the door. So here I'm just stripping the door down. This will be the first coat. It will take quite a few coats to get everything off. And if you notice, the blue is coming off pretty easy. It's the white underneath that's going to have a few coats. The factory door was actually white, and they painted over the white to put the blue and the rustic print. Okay, so I finished the first coat and got off most of the blue. I think the factory door was white, so I am actually putting another coat on here. You can kind of see it. Like right in here, it's got a little bit of like orangey color on it. I am actually going to do a second stripper coat and scrape that off after about 15-20 minutes, and then this way it should be down to the natural color wood. Then I'm going to go ahead and sand it and get rid of the rest of the white, and then I will urethane it to keep it clear and keep it nice and easy to keep clean and wipe off. It actually is kind of weird looking when the paint is stripped off of the door. It's a mixture of white and blue, kind of looks like a Smurf. Kind of lost its stomach contents. And while I'm waiting, I actually have 14 more new chickens, and I thought that they would enjoy a little bit of outside time today. Here you can see it just takes a little bit of elbow grease to get the white off of the natural wood, but look at that beautiful wood peeping through. So after I strip a door or any type of furniture, I will come back with a wet rag and a bucket of warm, soapy water and wipe off all of the extra stripping material. Sometimes it gets stuck in corners and crevices and it's really hard to get it out. So I find that the rag actually can kind of squeeze down in those little crevices and get all of the stripping material. It's really important to get all of it off. Then I'll let this door dry for a little while. It's really important to make sure you get all of the color and the stripping material out of all of the crevices. So now that the door is almost stripped, I'm going to actually continue to wipe it off. As you saw a minute ago, I was using just a rag and some cold water, warm water with soap in it. And I'm going to actually use this toothbrush. This is one of my Pampered Chef favorites. It is a cleaning tool. I use it a lot in the kitchen, but I also use it out here when I'm stripping because it actually fits in these corners really well, and I can get all the stripping material out, so when I go to sand, it actually will be easier. All she needs is a beautiful sand. And on to the other side. Still teal. So I'll be using the mouse sander and the Dremel-like tool to sand the actual door. I used 3 different grits of sandpaper, and the Dremel tool I used for all the little crevices. I used an 80 grit first, and then went down to 120, and then to a 220 sandpaper, and then I used the Dremel tool to get into all the little corners and crevices. I love this on the door, all of the crevices, like all of the print that's on the door, but I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of work to sand all of that. So here I'm using a fast drying urethane. I'm going to tell you, urethane takes forever to dry, even a fast drying urethane. So I'm using a clear coat. It is a satin finish. And I am just getting inside of all of the little pieces, the corners and crevices that I had sanded with the Dremel tool. I always try to do the smaller parts first and then come back and do the larger portions so that I can make sure all the little pieces are filled in with urethane, because you do not want to miss any of those little spots. Well, it's end of day 1, and this is much lighter than I thought it would be. However, the more and more I think about it, if you remember, on the stove has 2-tone wood on it. So the corners are a very light wood, and then the inside part was more of an orange color. So although I'm not the fondest of the way this has turned out, I think it's going to stay this way to tie in the lighter wood on the stove cabinet to the rest of the kitchen. So day 2 of the door project. I actually am starting to like the color of the door here. So something with urethane that I probably have never said, if you've never used urethane before, like a polyurethane, one of the funniest things about urethane is you would think one coat and you're like, oh, it'll be coated. It doesn't work that way with urethane. So what you have to do with urethane is it takes about 3 or more coats of urethane in order to get a really good coat. Excuse the cats back there. One climbing up is Nori, one on top is Camilla. So my first coat I put on, and what happens is because the wood was so raw, it soaked up all of the urethane, and you could see these little blotches all over the place. This is my actual second coat. So on your second coat, what you do is you actually take a piece of sandpaper or a sanding block like this. This is a 120 grit sanding block, and I actually have a 120, and somewhere else I have a 220 around here. Here it is right here. I have a 220 sanding grit. The bigger the number, the finer the sandpaper. So actually what you do is you just take this and you just rub this over the actual board or piece of wood that you're trying to urethane, and that gets rid of all the bumps that the urethane would leave and the unevenness. Then you would come back and re-urethane, let it dry for about 4 hours, and then re-sand again, and then do another coat of urethane. That will give you a nice even coat. Let me turn this around, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the coat that we have right now. This is a second coat of urethane. So the urethane that I use is a satin finish, so it's not crazy shiny, but it does have a little bit of a shine to it. And this is only coat number 2. You may not even be able to see it, but yes, you can. See these little bumps here? They are little air pockets that had gotten underneath the urethane. So what I'll do is I will come back and take that sanding paper that I had just used and sand over this and then do another coat. So it will get 3. But look how beautiful it is so far. Once I have all 3 coats on this door, I will let it dry for about 8 hours or so, and then I'll turn it over and I'll do the other side. And then we'll put the hardware back on and put it back up on the pantry. Now, you're gonna probably get a day 3, maybe even a day 4 on this video. So here we go with day 4. Using a rag to get all the dust and dirt off before I urethane. So now we move on to day 5, and of course, feeding has to be done, so I'm outside actually doing some farm chores before I actually get started on finishing up this project. Something else I'll be working on today is changing out these globes on our pendant lamps. I don't really like the dark yellow glow that they put over our countertop, and I found these beautiful Farmhouse glass with air pockets inside the glass. They look like little beads. They're so beautiful. Well, I finally convinced my husband to get them for me, and that is something I worked on also while working on the door. You notice the door is not back there, but I changed these out, and guys, I absolutely love them. Now to get ones for over the kitchen table and also over my kitchen island. Those also will change. So the trim around the pantry door had a lot of like plaster on top of it. So I actually scraped off all of this stuff that was on top of the molding, and I painted all of the trim all the way around the door, both inside and outside of the pantry. Then I put back on the knob, then I put back on the hinges and put the door back on the pantry. Y'all, words cannot even express how excited I am about starting to do finishing touches on this kitchen. Even though a lot of this has not been done yet, I'm just so excited at this look that's coming in slowly. a little bit every day. As you see, it took us about 6 days really, because the first day, I didn't even count that day. It was just kind of taking the door off and sitting it outside, and it just took a little longer than expected, but that's how projects are. And I think that's something that we need to remember. When you go to do a project, sometimes you can't do it in one day. Sometimes it takes a couple days. And that is such a blessing, because then you get to really see the progress that goes in when you look at beginning and ending parts. Love the lights, love the door. I'm so excited to start watching this kitchen turn into that vintage farmhouse kitchen that I so long to have. Well, thanks guys, and I hope you'll join me again next time here on The Faithful Farmer Mama. Bye. See y'all later.
Be sure to check back and watch this transformation of our kitchen island along with our vent hood.